And this is the Algebra 1 quick review on exponential growth and decay. All right, so what does the function look like for growth or decay? Well, here's one form. F of t equals a times the quantity 1 plus r quantity to the t power. All right, and so that's a normal exponential growth, or it could look like this. Y equals a b to the x, more simplistic form. All right, it's an exponential function. All right, so let's take a look at this example here. And so y equals 170 times the quantity 1 plus 0.042 to the t. F of t or y, remember, interplaceable, functional notation, or just regular y as the output. All right, so let's take a look at some possibilities here. So you should be able to read the initial amount. And it's always the multiplier of the base. And so you can see that clearly the initial amount is 170. All right, so the starting point for this function is 170. If you were looking at an XY scale, right, and you were looking for the function up at 170 is where this function would begin, and it's an exponential, and so it would look something like that. Okay, so the initial amount is 170. The growth factor tells you the rate at which the function grows, and it's simply the full amount of the base, so the 1 plus the 0.42, so a 1.42 growth factor. 1.4. We'll mention that again in a moment when we look at whether it's a growth or decay. The rate of change is how much does it change, and it's the 0.42, or if you were going to go percentage, that would be 42%. So 42% rate of change, or 0.42 if you're going to look in decimal form. And then finally, is it a growth or is it a decay? And so you're looking at the growth factor. If the growth factor is larger than 1, it is indeed a growth. If it's less than 1, it is indeed a decay. All right, so the other format, something like this, exponential. All right, and we'll go through the same litany of things that we'll ask. Initial amount, no problem, right? You look at that, and hopefully now you're thinking, oh yeah, easy, right? 999. So again, on an XY scale, up here at 999, that's where this function would begin. It would begin at a 199. And so this is going to be exponential growth or an exponential decay, and so this one's going to really end up looking like this, right? So let's take a look at the growth factor. So remember, the growth factor is the value of the base. So indeed, that is 0.6 is the growth factor. Now the rate of change, be careful here. So let's go back up to our base and let's change it to the other format. How do you get a 0.6? You do 1 minus 0.4, right, to get a 0.6. And so what is the rate of change? Negative 0.4, or negative 40% rate of change. All right, so the rate of change 40% in the negative this time. And the last thing, of course, is it a growth or is it a decay? And again, you look at the growth factor. Growth factor is less than 1. It is indeed a decay. All right? Reading exponential growth and decay.